Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Too Opinionated. I'm super excited. Today, I've got actor Matt Riedy with me. So, welcome, Matt.
I have an opinion on that.
On the introduction?
Yeah. How you doing, Mike?
I'm doing really well. I think I'm having a better day than you.
Yeah, well, let's not go back down that road. Technology and
We'll give the cliff notes. Technology bad.
computer technology and customer service being farmed out to other countries where
You
you have
know,
to sit there and listen.
I meant to tell you before we started, but I'll go ahead and throw it in there. I spent 20 years running call centers. So and the reason I got out of it is because I couldn't take it anymore. And we talked a little about having to deal with like the phone trees where you have to push all the different buttons that don't have anything to do with what you called for to get to a real person. Yeah. I was all in the middle of that, hated every minute of it.
I don't know how you did it.
I don't either, looking back now, but I did. I hung in there. When you're working, most people don't like what they're doing, but they don't realize how much they don't like it until they get away from it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I couldn't even tell you how I got into call centers. It just happened. It wasn't my intention. It just kind of ended up that way.
And then you went, I can leave.
Yeah. There was just one day I was like, I've had it. It's time to do some stuff I like.
I'm out of here.
I think it was going to be podcasting though, but here we are.
Here we are. And I'm looking at the backdrop here and wow.
So yeah, when we started, we were just in a bedroom. So we had to have some type of backdrop because a bed in the background looked terrible. But now we're in a studio, but I like the backdrop, so we kept it.
Well, if you talked to me about 45 minutes ago, I would look like Stallone.
Oh, very nice. Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Stallone behind you.
That's an angry yell.
That's where I was in my head. I didn't let it out, but that's where I was in my head.
Well, hopefully we can get you on a better path. God forbid the Zoom freezes up.
Yeah. Bye.
This interview's over. So Matt, let's start this way because you've been at this for a little while. What got you into acting? What made you want to be an actor?
I had been a disc jockey starting at the age of 18.
Oh, nice.
And then
like on a radio.
Buffalo, Miami, San Francisco, Seattle.
Did you have a handle?
A handle.
Yeah. Did you have like a cool DJ name or?
Oh, well, on one station I called there was a little thing I used as I guess my handle, the commissioner, on a station called Kazam, Kzam FM. And I'd say, and do you know what carts are?
No.
And carts look like an 8-track. Remember 8-track?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Love the 8-track.
That used to be what all the sound effects were on. They looked like 8-tracks, but they come with like 40 seconds of tape or 70 seconds of tape. Yeah. So you can put a 30-second or a 60-second commercial on them, or your little bits. So I had one. It was just from an old radio show where the guy came on and went, "Oh, good evening, Commissioner." And I would say, "Good morning, I'm Matt Riedy." "Oh, good evening, Commissioner." "Don't call me that." That was my little thing for the
it wasn't from the Batman TV show, was it?
No, I think it was from, I want to say like Dragnet or something.
Oh, it probably was. Yeah, Dragnet.
But yeah, that lasted.
If I had called myself the commissioner, I think I'd go by that for the rest of my life.
It lasted a year. Moving on. Different station, different name. Same person, but no character names. So anyway, I did radio for 10 years and I quit and I got into stand-up and I did that for 11 years. And then I got back into radio in Seattle because stand-up was killing me being on the road.
Yeah, that's a hard life.
So I transitioned back into radio. And when I did that at 40, I said, you know what? I want to be an actor. And I said it out loud. And that's what I say to people. If you want to do something, say it out loud, because then it gives it life. It gives it oxygen. Somebody will say, read this book, meet this person, go to this class. So I want to say within 2 months after saying out loud, I want to be an actor, I was in a couple of independent films in Seattle with lead roles that were uh, enjoyed. People, I got a nice review in the Seattle Times from my one that played at the Seattle Film Festival. The other one was a horror movie called Lover's Lane that had the gal Anna Faris,
Oh yeah.
Sarah Lancaster, who was she was on Brothers and Sisters, I think, for a long time. And she was also in the Judge movie, which I was in.
Yes. Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. You were the sheriff on in the
yeah,
Judge movie. Yeah.
I got to see her some, almost 20 years later on this set. And also
Awesome.
Riley Smith. So there were three people of note, four people. Richard Sanders from WKRP in Cincinnati was also
Yeah.
the main bad guy. So I did these two first films, and things were on their way. I started doing commercials, and I did an episode of The Fugitive. It was a remake with Tim Daly in Seattle.
Yeah.
And I'm doing one episode. I'm a co-star, first big show. And about 3 o'clock in the morning, it's an all-night shoot. The director, James Frawley, comes over to me and he says, do you work in LA at all? And I told him, no, I just got off the road from doing stand-up. I got a radio job. I got a house, a car, and a 401k for the first time in my life. So I don't really want to do freelance. And he said, I think you'd be very busy. And if you know anything about sets, directors don't do that, especially to a co-star
Right.
in the middle of a shoot. So I sat on that for about 5 years because I'm making money. I got a job. And then those people frustrated me, and I thought, you live once, I'm going to give it a shot. So I quit my radio job, rented out my house. I moved to LA with a pile of money and said, if I burn through it, I'll go home and ask for my job back. And thankfully, I never had to do that because things started to happen right away. And that was 2005 when I moved to LA. My first job was 1998.
That's unusual to get into acting at 40.
And by the time I got to LA, I was 47.
Wow.
So,
yeah,
there's other gray-haired guys who are already well known, Gary Cole, people like that. So
love Gary Cole.
Moved to LA with 7 credits, and when I left, I had 124.
Yeah, it's impressive. You've been busy.
So I got into it late, and then when I did, I fell in love with it. It's frustrating sometimes, but I was very fortunate. I worked a lot in LA and didn't have to. The last, I think, 7 or 8 years I was there, it was making my living solely as an actor.
I mean, did you do theater or anything in high school?
No, I was a shy kid in high school. I didn't think that I would be in front of people ever. But
was that difficult, or had you already got past the shyness part with the radio, or was it difficult when you had to, be there?
Well, that was the thing, with radio. I was forced to immediately take on a position of in charge.
Yeah.
So I learned how to fake it till you make it.
I've had a few jobs like that.
So, radio was terrific on one level. There were personal appearances that I did where you've got to be in front of people and such.
Yeah.
Comedy, you're on your own standing up there, and I've only ever had a couple of beer bottles thrown at me. Luckily never got
Well, they say you can't be a good comedian if you don't bomb.
Yeah, well, I'm an excellent comedian. No, so I look at that as my training ground.
Yeah.
I wish that I would have realized this earlier and been able to go to a nice studio and study for years, but I used radio and comedy as my education.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty good. I mean, it's a little different path to get there, but it doesn't really matter how you get there.
There's a bunch of ways to learn how to act. There's a bunch of ways to act and to learn how to act. There's not just one said rule.
Any chance at some point you go back and do stand up again?
I haven't told a joke in 18 years.
What if Netflix shows up at your door and says, we want you to do a comedy special?
No.
No?
I don't remember.
Tell him to call me.
I, I, I think at my peak, I had about an hour and 15 minutes of material.
That's pretty good.
I don't think I remember 5 minutes of it.
You got to write that stuff down.
It's in my rearview mirror, pal. Like the call center, it's in my rearview mirror.
Yeah. Yeah. The only time I think of the call center is just to tell somebody how much I hated being in a call center.
It's one of my wife's hairs right there.
Yeah. I have that same problem. There, it's obviously not my hair, but somehow her hair gets everywhere. So you've done some work on soap operas. Is that a more difficult because you have to do it fast and there's a lot of lines you got to pick up, or is that more like it helps you with other acting jobs because you got to do it fast and there's a lot of lines you got to pick up?
Well, the only one I did multiple episodes on was General Hospital. I did 10 episodes of that.
Yep.
And yeah, you've got a lot of dialogue to learn, and you get 1 or 2 tops, 3 takes. The thing I found difficult about it was there was no director specifically giving me guidance.
Yeah.
So here you are, you're a new guy in this troupe of actors who've been doing this for years.
Right.
Know the ins and outs of doing soap opera acting. And you walk in there, and again, you've got a position to uphold and a character to uphold. I found it difficult not having some hands-on direction. That was the only thing, because I needed a little help with exactly where this guy fit into the soup,
Yeah.
So I would like to go back and do that experience again if I could. You can't, obviously, but that was the most difficult aspect of it for me.
Was that fairly early after you had gotten into or got to LA?
No, when was General Hospital? I think 7 years ago.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, that's not too long ago.
I had done a couple of Days of Our Lives, and I think I did a Passions, but that was it. Just 2 or 3 Days of Our Lives.
My mother said that you played you were like an agent or something on Days of Our Lives.
Oh, she remembered
that. Yeah, I always play that game with the family. It's like, this is who I'm interviewing today. What have you seen them on? And she's a soap opera fan, so she was like, yeah, he was some type of like agent or something.
Yeah, what was the patriarch of that show? I'm trying to think of his name. I think he's since passed, but I was his agent.
Oh, very good. Yeah, I can see him in my head, but I can't think of the name.
I want to say that.
Maybe.
No, I should have done a little more research here.
So I was telling you, we talked to Chris Ufflin right before we came on. Chris is the one that set you and me up to have you on the show, but he said to make sure to remind you that you were both on the same episode of NCIS, just not together.
Oh, right. NCIS New Orleans, I believe.
New Orleans, yeah.
Yeah, I love Chris. Chris is he's a great guy, man. He's a very good actor, and he's solid as the day is long. And
yeah, he's a good guy. Yeah, every time we go out to LA, we make sure to look Chris up.
Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't get to work with him on camera, but on the same episode. I'm looking up my Days of Our Lives information here as I'm talking to you.
Oh, very good. Yeah, using that technology you love so much.
That I love so much. That's not moving very fast right now. I think because Zoom is taking up all my energy. So I'll set that aside and come back to it.
We'll come back to it. So we loved you on Big Time Rush. You played Arthur on there, but you were on there a ton.
I think I had 34 episodes of 75. Yeah, that was a good gig. The creator, Scott Fellows, saw me on a piece I did for Todd Phillips before he was Todd Phillips.
Oh, okay.
He did a series called For Mini Cooper Cars. I want to say 20 years ago, they did a piece for BMW cars with a big movie star whose name escapes me. But when it came to Mini Cooper, they did a comedic kind of version of this, more like a Magnum PI. Brian Callen was the lead, and I was
probably like that. What was the name of it?
the lead. Hammer and Coop.
Hammer and Coop.
Look it up on YouTube, and the episode.
Yeah, I will
pop up. But I auditioned for this thing, and it was a very similar character to what Arthur Griffin turned out to be. And the creators saw me in these videos and gave me the job on Big Time Rush. I mean, that's the kind of thing you dream of.
Yeah, that's amazing. And do you have any musical talent?
No, I can't play anything. I wish I could sing, but I could clear a room in 2 seconds.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, everybody in my family is, musically inclined, can play any instrument. I've got none of it.
Yeah,
none of it.
I
was trying to look up who. It wasn't Drake, was it, on Days of Our Lives?
Hold on, it just came up. Just a sec here.
Or John Clark?
Where are you?
Yeah, it just came up for me too. That's why I was kind of.
Well, it's being very jerky. It won't let me smoothly transition from one place.
On Aniston, maybe. I see him in my head. I can't think of the name.
Yeah, this is not behaving.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. I'm sure people watching, they'll be yelling at the screen at this point, telling us who it is. You have a tendency to pop up on a lot of shows that we watched. I'm remembering right, you were on Castle, like Boston Legal. We used to watch this little weird show called Wilfred. I think you were on a couple episodes of that.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Mad Men. I forgot about that one.
Yeah, I was Mohawk Airlines, and that was supposed to be maybe 6 episodes, and they kept putting a pin in me for the episode, and then it would get to be too long, and they had to cut that dialogue. So they'd, Don would go, "I'm going to see Mohawk," and then he'd be back. And our meeting.
But you were Mohawk.
I was Mohawk for two episodes. That was a fun story. The guy who runs that show, God, I'm getting old. Names, freaking names. Matt. God.
We're going to hit on something that both of us can remember. Matt Weiner.
Matt Weiner, thank you very much. Matt Weiner had brought me in, I think 5 or 6 times. And the week before, he brought me in to play a tow truck driver for Betty when her car breaks down.
Yeah.
And I did 3-4 takes. And after 3 or 4 takes, I just said, not so much. And Matt Weiner goes, not so much. And I went out and I played golf and forgot about it. And the next week comes up, and this guy comes up, and I did the audition. And it's when the writing, the character, your interpretation of all that gels.
Yeah,
it's magic. It's meant to be a sort of a thing.
Yeah.
Just got a Dodge Ram campaign voiceover that was the same sort of thing. The writing came together to fit what I do perfectly.
Yeah.
I got done with the audition and waited a good couple of seconds, and I looked over at Matt, and he just goes, wow. And I had that job before I got home.
That's awesome. Well, you've got a Mad Men look to you. I think you would fit on that show. They should just made you a regular.
From your lips, pal. But yeah, it was fun working with John Hamm, and I'm sitting there in the booth across from him, and I'm going over my lines, repeating my lines. And I said, "You must think that's a little silly, huh?" And he goes, "No, I totally get it. Do it. Go. Prepare." Everybody was, a lot of actors. I've run into a couple of prima donnas who will remain nameless, but 98% of the actors, big names, are very gracious, welcoming. Everybody is a troupe trying to get to the same finish line. And I love that supportive atmosphere of acting.
Don't you think acting gets a little bit of a bad rap because people that aren't actors, a lot of times the view is that all actors are kind of like that. They're kind of divas and stuff. And that's not really the case. It's just very few that are difficult to get along with. Most of them are very open because they know it's going to help their performance if everybody else is, in the right frame of mind.
And also, they haven't forgotten what it's like to be in my shoes.
That's right.
The guy, they were there, they auditioned for commercials and co-stars. And who was I looking? Jimmy Smits or someone the other day. I'm looking, I go back down his IMDb and you see, cop number 2 or something. But we've all been through that.
Yeah.
So these guys that remember it and these women who remember that are very gracious to you because they know you're a job away from being their co-star.
That's right. Well, and the same thing, sometimes there's an arc to a career. You can be there at the top and then kind of start fading back down the other side. You might pass somebody on the way down that's on the way up.
That's true. Yeah.
I'd forgotten you made an appearance on Community.
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
We
were very late to that show, but enjoyed it once we found
it. Great writing.
Yeah. Oh, really, really good.
Great casting. Yeah.
Yeah, we enjoyed that one. That was one that when binging first became kind of a thing, that was one of our first shows that we sat down and kind of knocked out pretty quick.
Right.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Do you have a preference on the genre to play? Do you prefer drama or comedy?
I like both. I enjoy both. I think I'm leaning more toward drama now because I've blown out the seams in comedy. Big Time Rush is a Nickelodeon show, and it's big. And I've got my stand-up days as well, where I was big and funny, and the immediacy of it, and the timing, the tension, it's. I really am enjoying having more subtle, deeper exchanges with actors. The last couple of jobs I've had have been that, and I'm enjoying that. I want to explore the drama, the inner turmoil, whatever it might be, family, love, financial experiences, death. There's something about those small moments that I really enjoy, but you get me in the right situation for a comedy, I'm going to sneeze and it's going to be earth-shaking. Sorry.
That was good. That was a good sneeze, but it was a one-off. That was most time you at least 2.
I hate it when I'm on a plane. Oh God, bury my face in a pillow.
You sneeze more like I do. It's just a kind of one-time loud done. Some people, they might sneeze 20 times, but they're those little tiny sneezes.
Yeah, I don't get it. I had a girlfriend.
Yes.
How is that satisfying?
Nothing's getting accomplished with that.
So I love it all, but I've really been trying to find more subtle roles lately.
Yeah, I get that. As you kind of go through your acting career, at first I could see where you're pretty open. You're just trying to get in. But once you're in, I can see where you might find things you like and then kind of gravitate toward those.
Well, yeah, it's and it takes a lot of energy and it's kind of like being a musician to do comedy.
Yeah.
Right. Figuring out the timing and everything. And I have yet to be given a sitcom, which I'm kind of surprised, not given a whole show, but a sitcom outside of something like Community. That was a very short appearance.
I think Modern Family, maybe.
Modern Family, that was a pretty good one. Raising Hope, I had a nice little scene there.
Yeah.
So I enjoy those, I do, but personally, right now, I'm looking for those meatier, softer things.
We used to like when you pop up on like Conan or Kimmel.
Oh, I love those. See, now you got me. There's comedy right there, and I did 19 Kimmels and I did 11 Conans. And do you know who Spike Feresten is? Spike wrote for Seinfeld. Spike wrote for Saturday
Oh, very
Night
good.
Live.
Yeah.
Spike wrote the Soup Nazi. He wrote several episodes.
Oh, that's terrific.
And him and Seinfeld are like this. He has a show now, a podcast called Spike's Car Radio, and him and Jerry are thick as thieves in that show, discussing cars and
yeah. We've had Peter Melman on the show, but yeah, I didn't know Spike's name, but yeah, obviously I know his work.
Spike had a talk show in L.A. with talk show with Spike Fierstein on Fox, and I think it only lasted a couple of seasons, but I did 7 of those through. I think the writer there, Jeff Cesario, who was an old stand-up friend, thought, yeah, Matt Riedy could do this. So he brought me in and I got to do a few of those episodes. So all told, what's that, 19? That's 30. So 37 talk show episodes.
Well, yeah, 30. We used to see you pop up on Conan and Kimmel all the time.
Right.
And in a whole bunch of just ridiculous situations.
Well, living out here in Atlanta now, I like to use the one where I taught Norman Reedus how to shoot the crossbow. You see that?
Yeah, it did. I mean, that had to be fun.
Oh, it is.
It's just, it's kind of like a skit. It's not a whole episode or anything. So you get to just go in, have some fun, meet some cool people, and get back out.
I did one for George Lopez. Lopez and I worked together on the road a couple of times. He had a talk show that ended, God, what was that? Like 8 years ago or something?
Yeah, I remember his show.
And I got hired again. Jeff Cesario was on the writing staff, and he hired me for this live piece that we have to do at the top of the show in front of the live studio audience. And it brought back my stand-up days because, you deliver a line, you hear the audience, you wait, you ride it, come in with your line, ride it, come in with your line, And we got huge laughs on that. And it was just so satisfying.
Yeah.
You walk off and you feel high because you found every nook and cranny and milked every laugh, and you make pauses where you're going, okay, there's going to be another laugh here, there it is, and finish. So that's what all of those are like. These people have written something, they've entrusted you to perform it satisfactorily in front of a national audience that night, and that stuff just makes you feel alive, vibrant.
Is it kind of, in that respect, is it kind of like performing theater, where you just come in, you're right in front of a kind of you've got like a live audience, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I've only done one play in my life, but I liken it again to stand-up because you play with that crowd. But yeah, those little bits on Kimmel and Conan were just a joy because they call you about 11 a.m. and say, are you free today? You're free. You're over at the studio by 1 o'clock and you're performing by 3. It's just very immediate and satisfying.
I know you've done a ton of voice work. You've got a very commercial type of voice. You're very easy to understand. It's deep enough where even if you're having trouble hearing, like my father, he can follow along. So I can see where you would do that. But what's your opinion of it? Do you enjoy that?
Again, I love it. Acting, when somebody says they're an actor, they do commercials, they do television, they do movies, oftentimes voiceover, oftentimes video games.
Yeah.
And I enjoy all aspects of that. I mean, that goes back to I've made my living with my voice.
You've done some video games.
Yeah. But I've made my living with my voice in some aspects since I'm 18.
Yeah.
So again, for me, my voice is, thanks for the compliments, I appreciate that. But my voice is very unique. My voice is not generic. My voice doesn't fit in 25 places. My voice has a specific place to be.
Yeah.
And when it's right, it's absolutely right. I've had a few campaigns. I had Real Milk with California Milk for 4 years. I just got the Ram truck campaign for fall.
Nice.
They enjoyed that so much that they brought me back for winter, for Christmas. So we'll have a new series coming out here soon. I had Discover Card about 7 or 8 years ago.
Are those type of jobs easier than if you have to go and it's do a more physical acting? Are those easier or are they just as difficult? Is it less time to go in and do voice work?
Yes.
Yeah. I think it'd be tough though. For me, I think I'd have trouble with that. I think I'd do better having people right there in front of me playing off of. I don't know if I could do the.
Well, it's like music, you're interpreting the copy you're looking at. I'm going to pull up this Ram spot. I'm going to play it. Is that okay?
Yeah, play it.
And more truck owners. Let's see if we can see it. You'll be able to see that.
Yeah, go ahead, hit play. Let's do it.
More truck owners are switching to Ram, which means more fathers are switching to Ram. Your body's changing. And more sons, more tailgaters, more tail waggers, more men with a lot of confidence. Easy. And more with not so much. Yeah, I'm not going to fit in there. More people who have it all and don't have it at all. Wow. And more guys who check straps with a firm tug and say, that ain't going anywhere, are switching to
That's a good commercial.
People see this stuff and it goes in one ear and out the other, or they mute it or whatever. I'm not a fan of commercials unless I'm in them.
Well, that's right. That's right. Well, there's just I'm not a fan of the annoying type of commercial, and we all know those type. But if it's a well done commercial, I don't have any problem with that. I'll watch that.
Watching the intricacies of that, the actors are wonderful. Talk about comedic. It's very difficult to do the right dry take when somebody's
right.
Where it makes the audience laugh and you don't blow it for them because you perform it perfectly. So the actors, the dialogue, the editors, the way they marry the dialogue and the video, I mean, that's a really well done series of spots.
Yeah.
It takes this, you see this behind me, that's my closet. That's also my voice booth.
Well, I was going to ask you where you recorded those.
I voiced all of these national commercials right out of my closet.
That's very nice.
You have to get the right microphone and the right setup, and it feeds you through an app to the studio you're talking to in Chicago, and then they edit it from there. But it's, this is another piece of technology that's amazing to me, that I can just walk to my office and voice
you don't have to actually go to the set.
Yeah. So we did a half dozen spots, and I think we had maybe 6 hours of sessions, because you're doing them over and over and over again, because you're finding the right note. A spot can change entirely by the emphasis on a different word. And so you will try that. You'll put the emphasis here, then here, then here, and they'll pick. They'll go, oh, this fits the mood we want, right? Oh, no, wait, this is a much better one. Little tiny subtle things that you learn to differentiate in your own mind what they mean and how they change the spot. And so you'll end up doing 3 in a row. If you've got one line like, more truck owners are switching to Ram, which means more fathers are switching to Ram, which means more fathers are switching to Ram, which means more fathers are switching to Ram. And I'll tell them right away, I say, I'm going to do 3 in a row. And they know exactly why you're doing it, because you're trying to find those different notes so they can. So that can.
Yeah, that's really interesting to me. But that makes sense, because you're probably not going to find it the first time, the first attempt. So I could see that. But that does it make it, once you get in to doing voiceover, is it easier getting more voiceover work?
My personal opinion is that voiceover work is more difficult to get than anything.
That's what I've always heard.
Because there are so many people submitting.
Yeah.
There are thousands of people with closets across America who are submitting. And do they ever get to you? Do they hear you? I don't know. And I had this is my first campaign in 4 years.
Oh, wow.
The last one, Milk, California Milk ran out 4 years ago. And I auditioned, I don't know, there must have been a couple hundred auditions I did where you just keep putting them out there and walk away, leave it alone. If it's going to come to you, it will. This one, it was like the Mad Men episode. When I did it, I interpreted it as you heard that spot.
Right.
I did it that close to it. And my agent heard, I think our agency submitted 6 people. And when she heard me, she said, he's going to get it. Because I understood. And when somebody, the writers and the producers hear something, oh, that's it. That's what I wanted. You're already miles ahead of the game. But getting that job is very difficult.
Yeah. I've always heard that with voice work is it's difficult. It's more difficult than regular acting, and acting's hard enough to get into. But once you're in, you're kind of in.
The hope is somebody's going to hear this campaign and go, oh, I want that guy. Like Scott Fellows saw me on the video and said, oh, I got to have that guy.
Yeah.
That's the hope. But you don't write checks on that.
What did you do with Daytona 500?
Let me play it for you.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, just a little promo for.
Oh, promo. That makes sense. I was like, what is? Like, I don't remember you being an announcer on there, or for a commercial, but promo would make sense.
This might take a second. Sorry.
That's all right.
Edit this part out. Videos. Come on, baby. You can do it. I know you can.
You can do it.
Wow, really? Seriously? It's not there. You know where it is.
Well, while you're doing that, I'll tell you some of the other shows that my different members of my family remembered you from.
Okay.
So my son, who edits the podcast and does all the hard stuff for me, he just finished watching Justified. He said you made an appearance on there.
Yes,
so I think that's true. And then my stepdaughter, big Shameless fan, said you played Charlie on there.
Yes, that was a show that was the last show I did before I left Los Angeles. We left like 2 months after I taped that. Yeah.
Well, Atlanta is a very active, kind of entertainment city.
It is. I'm having
a lot of. I didn't realize that till we started doing the podcast, but a lot of shows being filmed in Atlanta.
Sorry, I'm trying to figure something out here.
Yeah. We already know how you are with technology. We'll be patient.
You're going to make me come over there. Come over there.
I wish I'd been recording when you were really hyped up. You'd calm down by the time I hit record.
Well, you didn't know. Nobody wanted to hear where I was before. Nobody wanted to hear that.
I don't know. I think those type of moments are, that's kind of fun. Yeah, everybody gets upset.
Okay, here we go.
All right. Let's check out this promo for Daytona 500. It's coming, I think.
Historic sands. From these historic sands, legends will rise. The Great American Race returns February 23rd, only on Fox.
See, that's the type of work. Like if I had any type of voice, that would be the type of work. You get in, it's like 15 seconds, you're done. Go home. Or step out of your closet and go relax.
Well, that was a studio in LA, which, I miss that too. I miss going into studios because that atmosphere, is really great. But there's a lot to be said for going to work and then going to the couch.
Yeah. So the last one I'll tell you that my wife was This Is Us. That's what she remembers. Which is saying something because she usually has no idea.
Yeah.
Because she watches TV like a lot of people do now, where she's on her phone the whole time. So she's only halfway paying attention. But
Right.
This Is Us was enough of a tearjerker. She put the phone down for those she recognized.
Yeah, that's an example right there of the kind of work that I want to pursue. Having those moments with the key characters and
Yeah.
not.
Didn't you play a coach or something on there?
I was University of Pennsylvania football coach.
That's right. That's right. I'll forgive you for that. You know, West Virginia guy, not a big, you know, Pennsylvania. That's a big rival for us.
Yeah. Sorry.
That's all right.
I had a great time on Sons of Anarchy. That was another show that.
Yeah, great show.
Paul Weller was the director on that episode, and you know you're working with an icon.
Can you ride a bike? Can you ride a motorcycle?
That was what he asked me, and I owned a motorcycle when I was 18, and I told him that because you know Hollywood, a lot of the people are so full of shit. Yeah, I ride. Yeah, sure. And then
they figure they'll figure it out later.
Comes, you know, the day of the shoot, they're falling over and they're delaying things. And so I told him, I said, yeah, I owned a bike. I've ridden one since. It's not going to be an issue. I promise. I don't have my license right now, but you know, and he believed me, thankfully.
Yeah.
And then we were there shooting at this gas station, and I was riding around the gas station for like half an hour, just having fun and easing his mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah, that's great. Yeah, on a show like Sons of Anarchy, you better know how to ride a bike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was another one. The lead actor, very, very nice, very friendly, very helpful.
Yeah, that show kind of propelled him. You know, he's a lot bigger star than he was when that show first came out.
Yeah, he's kind of like Josh Duhamel. You know, he had a nice run on a TV show, and now he's a movie star.
Yeah. It used to be like when I was growing up, you never had that crossover. You had movie actors and you had TV actors, but now they go back and forth all the time. It's not a big deal.
Well, and the next step in that is movie stars never did commercials.
Yeah.
And now they're all over the place.
Yeah.
And, you know, I get the client, he can afford to get Sam Jackson.
Yeah.
So why not? But you know, Sam Jackson doesn't need the money.
And really, a lot of times, if it's just a voice, do you really need Sam Jackson's voice?
Well, you know, there's enough people that relate to it, that hear it, that automatically give the product, you know, 5 more stars because Sam Jackson's telling him to buy it. So I get that. It's a little frustrating sometimes, but yeah, it's completely changed now. I was just listening to an interview with Richard Dreyfuss talking about the same thing, where you know, it used to be a never TV, but more and more movie stars coming over.
Do you think part of that is because there's so much out there now? I mean, it used to be just the networks. That's all you had. But now there's so much out there that you get a little more crossover.
And the quality as well.
Quality, yeah.
A lot of these people are doing shows that are in these limited release 10 episodes. And that's like a long movie.
Right.
So you have the time and the budget to tell a story in depth at length. And
you don't have a lot of filler episodes anymore.
No. So I think that's part of it. There's so much crossover in the writing talent too. And there's been less of the walls between those two existences have been trimmed down, where you can just more easily cross over and people's eyes don't bug out of their heads. I think it's partially because what you said, there's so much now, but I add the writing element to it and the quality. And I
remember, I mean, it hadn't been that long ago. It was a big deal when George Clooney switched from TV to movies. You know, that was a big deal. Didn't happen all that much. And that wasn't that long ago. And now it's nobody thinks anything of it. They just go back and forth. Or maybe it's a big deal if you have a movie star that moves to like lead a television series. That might be a big.
Well, that's what I was speaking of mainly, is the movie stars coming back to be on television. Being launched into a movie career from television, I think is what a lot of people still, dream for.
Yeah.
You wonder if your how much you've been exposed as this character on TV will allow you to come over and do movies. But you know who I look at? Melissa McCarthy. Here's a woman who was all over television. But you cannot deny the talent that woman has. She can do anything.
Yes, she can.
So give her the biggest stage you possibly can. Yeah. Those people are undeniable. But
you're right, though. She was on all kinds of television shows before she switched to movies. Yeah.
Someone like her, trying to think of another example. Margot, can't think of her name. Anyway.
Do you have a preference on what kind of set you prefer, television to movie?
I don't like doing TV with bad writing.
Yeah.
You run into that sometimes?
Yeah, I wondered about that. But you don't run into it quite as much as you used to. But there are some shows that we avoid because the writing's so bad. And I always wondered about that as an actor. You don't want to turn down work, but at the same time, you got to know that the show's not that
good. In the beginning, you'll do anything.
Yeah.
I'll put on a bathing suit and dive into a bowl of cold soup,
Well, you don't want to burn any bridges when you're just getting started.
Yeah. But I've only worked on a couple of big features for any length of time. And I enjoy those a great deal because of the company you keep.
Yeah.
And also, again, the attention to detail, the judge. My head was spinning, Duvall, Downey Jr.
Oh, it was an amazing movie. Yeah, what a cast.
D'Onofrio, Vera Farmiga, Balthazar Getty. And your eyes are like this going, oh my God, look at these people work, and taking it all in and learning as much as you can while performing. But television, I love that too, just because it's a different aspect. You got to come in, you got to know your shit. You got to come in and deliver. Yeah. And then get out of the way. And you're a performer.
Yeah.
You want to perform. Bring me on and I'll deliver. A movie is great if you're on the call sheet for a couple of months because you're making a lot of money and you're involved in the story and learning. Television, maybe I just finished an episode of The Game, the last of 2 episodes for The Game show they shoot here. And I was there for a week and it was wonderful. You're part of a little family for a week.
Yeah.
You can't get me to say anything bad outside of maybe a bad product. And
have you made any close friends from working with them on a set?
Not that I invite over for coffee.
Well, most of them would have to drive to Atlanta. Well, maybe not. Atlanta.
Right, I'll fly here. Oh, definitely. I'm in touch with a few people from The Judge. I'm in touch with the people from Big Time Rush. Yeah. I'm in touch with the casting director from Jimmy Kimmel Live.
Yeah.
She knew she could call me in a heartbeat. I'd be there and deliver. But a handful. And then, some casual acquaintances that, you run into the set. It'll be a warm reception.
Yeah. Well, Matt, thank you so much for taking some time and hanging in there when we had a little technical issue right at the beginning. Nobody else would know us because we hadn't started yet, but we had a little bit.
I don't know how many people are like me and maybe you sometimes when you're trying to get through customer service to a person. And we've seen it on sitcoms. We've seen it in commercials. Customer representative!
Well, you used to be able to hit 0 and it would take you to, an agent. But most companies have gotten rid of that because they don't want you getting to an agent.
Now it just says, nice try.
That's right. That's not going to work.
Yeah.
It just comes on and says, we don't, I don't understand what you're asking.
I appreciate you asking, and it was a pleasure to be here. And I wish you and your family the best for the new year.
Yeah, you too, sir. And just a couple quick things, and then we can wrap up. Anything else you got going on that we can kind of keep an eye out for?
I just did a Lifetime movie called Smashed.
Okay.
Very small part, if you blink. And then The Game is a show, I believe it was on CW for about 9 years, got canceled, and now it's been brought back.
Yeah, now it's back.
Now it's been brought back to, what platform is that, please? The Game. Is it going to behave and tell me?
It was on forever.
Yeah. So now they're on the second season on Paramount Plus.
That's right.
And that new season starts January 3rd. I'm in episodes 5 and 10. And maybe I'll be back for the first episode of season 3, because there was mention made of my character maybe showing up again.
There you go. There you go. You gotta love that when there's those little dangling threads that you might get to come back.
Here's something else that people might not understand. I was in Devotion, this new movie with Glen Powell.
Yeah.
And I played his father. And I had a couple of days on the film, and we had a lovely, lovely scene where I'm sending him off to fight in the war, and it got cut. And I've been, I learned when somebody went to Toronto International Film Festival, they saw it and they told me that I was not there. But that is something that you do. You're waiting a year and a half for this to show up so you can see it, and it's not there. And it's one more element of this business that it's frustrating. You have no control over it. And that's why I applaud somebody like Taylor Sheridan, who's just took it all by the reins, and he does it all now. He writes his own stuff. So that's something that I did as well that you ended up.
Yeah, that movie just came out.
Just last Thursday.
Yeah, it's Jonathan Majors, who's been in everything lately.
Yeah, and we haven't gone to see it yet. We're going to go see it here in a couple of days, but it's a wonderful film. I would really encourage people to go see it.
Yeah, I plan on. I'm kind of a history buff, so that kind of the war movie type of thing I enjoy. So
I've read that Thomas Hudner's son approved of Glen Powell's performance of his father.
Oh, that's awesome.
Said it was pretty spot on. So that means a great deal.
Yeah, that's terrific. So the only other thing I got for you is just I know you got an aversion with technology, but are you on social media? If you are, where can we find
you? I'm not on Twitter, never been, never wanted it. I'm very happy to see it nosediving.
I've seen you slightly angry now. That would fit on Twitter.
I don't want to feed that machine. Nobody needs to know what I'm thinking in 2 sentences. Nobody does. There was a point about 10 years ago where a casting director actually told us a story about number of followers having an impact on whether or not someone gets cast. That I resented the hell out of.
Yeah, I don't like that either.
It had to do with talent. But no, Facebook is it, and I'm.
Yeah. I was going to let you go, but I got one more. Any desire at some point to step behind the camera? Yeah.
On Modern Family, I'm sitting with Ed O'Neill. We're at his son's wedding. And in between takes, I leaned over to him because, he's been around since the 60s. He was Popeye Doyle. I mean, this guy is an icon.
Yeah.
And I just looked over. I said, any desire to direct? And without missing a beat, he goes, "No."
I like that.
You have that in your genes or you don't. And I'm not a writer. And I think that's an integral part of being a director, is being able to, if you're a writer, you can fully bring a script to life. So I'll leave that to the professionals.
Well, sir, this has been terrific. I hope you'll come back at some point.
Well, if I got something that's worthy, I would love to, Mike.
You know how to get a hold of me. So if you have something, just holler. Bring you back.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you, sir. Hold on one second. All right. So that was actor Matt Riedy. I'm such a fan of his. I think he's so talented. He's got the best voice. I love hearing him talk, and I loved him in The Judge. I think that's probably my favorite thing that he's done, but he has literally had like 150 credits. He's been in everything. Hope you're as big a fan of him as I am. If you're not, go check him. We'll go watch him a little bit. I think you will be. He's so good. Let me go ahead and plug our good friend Chris Uffland, who came on the show earlier today, who set that up. You know, he introduced me and Matt and set that up. So I really appreciate that from Chris, who is appearing on Leverage on December 14th. So check that out and keep an eye out for Matt and his new Ram campaign. I guess you can't keep an eye out, but keep an ear out. That's should be coming out shortly. Thank you guys so much for tuning in again this week. We really appreciate that. Definitely don't take that for granted. There's only about 1 billion podcasts out there, so we really appreciate you coming to us. If you're listening to us for the first time or you're watching for the first time and you say, hey, these guys aren't too bad, I'd like to support them. I'd like to help them out. A couple of easy ways you can do that. You know, we have a YouTube channel, MeisterCon Pod. Please just subscribe. That would help us out. It's free. Doesn't require anything. You're not going to get bothered to death, but it'll help us out. And I actually think if you go and look, we are just a couple episodes away from 500 now. There is hundreds of people on there that I think you'll either be a fan of or you will become a fan of once you listen to them. So there's plenty of material on there to check out. MeisterCon Pod on YouTube. Check that out. If you're listening, wherever you're listening to your podcast from, whatever platform you're using, just subscribe. That helps us out. You can also find all 500 episodes, audio and video, on our website, meistercon.com. And if we're doing anything in studio, if we're going on location, say if we're covering a convention, that'll be on the website, meistercon.com. So definitely check that out. Thank you guys so much. Till next time. Bye, everybody.